नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है जीएमसी के ऑफिशियल यूट्यूब पेज पे। आज मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है आप सबको बताते हुए, आज हमारे साथ प्रस्तुत हैं डॉक्टर सुनीता बी मरियम मैम। शी केम फ्रॉम अमेरिका टू इंडिया एंड फॉर बीइंग हियर एंड हैविंग टाइम फॉर अस मैम। मैं आप सबको बताना चाहूँगा, मैम एक प्रोफेशनल काउंसलर हैं at the University of Mercer.
Mercer
At
University.
University of Mercer. She's a professional counselor over there and also a rehabilitation counselor over there. And today we will have a short discuss about on the topics of how the psychology behavior we see in our today's youth. What are the terms and what are the factors that affect humans' mind? And today we will discuss all the topics around these sections and just have a look to just go further with our topic now. Hello, ma'am.
Namaste. So, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good.
How's
I'm
your trip,
excellent.
ma'am?
It was excellent.
Your stay, ma'am?
Stay was awesome.
Awesome. It was very wonderful to hear, ma'am.
Mhm.
मैं आप लोगों को बता दूं कि मैम एक लाइसेंस्ड प्रोफेशनल है, तो just for information only that whatever we will gain knowledge from ma'am, it is from the upper layer of the ocean. It is from the upper layer, deepest. We will get the deepest knowledge of from ma'am. So let's carry out from some simple questions, ma'am.
Sure.
That in today's world there are the most uh, problem we see in the today's youth, which I personally see, is the factor of love,
Mhm.
which affect so many youths mind and heart. They feel like if they have separate from their partner, they feel like they have broke down from inside, they have nothing to do, they will face so many problem, and they feel depressed from there. They didn't take participate in their works, and they didn't take interest in any kind of thing. Does this is good for them, or you can say just carry on to your work, just leave this thing, whatever happens to you? What kind of scenario happens that created such kind of thing? Is there their dominance? Is there any kind of vulgarity they happen? Is there any kind of rude behavior that happen, that kind of scenario?
So, I heard you saying the factor of love, right? So,
Yes.
what is the definition of love? Definition of love is nothing but having that secure attachment. I think the people get confused between the secure attachment and the love. Right there. So, if you are really loving a person,
Yes, ma'am.
then you are securely attached to that person. When you are securely attached to this person, even if it is a broken relationship, it should not affect you. It is difficult because you love that person, you wanted to give your 100% to that person, so you are psychologically attached to that person, but that becomes a difficult thing. Or you mentioned about all those negative qualities, right? So all of that happens if the attachment is not secure. So majority of the time our Indian youth especially, they often get confused between love and infatuation. So all of these negative emotions comes with that infatuation, not the love.
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. There's a taboo, not in West or somewhere else. In especially in Indian society, there is a taboo.
Mhm.
If we are physically attracted towards our partner,
Mhm.
if we are physically, engaged with our partner, then they thought that they will not leave them. If they will not go with somewhere else, they will not look towards somewhere else. If it happens, if a girl or a boy, they both are physically engaged with each other, but they seems for future that it will not go very good, or there's a no future between them. If one of them think that I should carry on, or I should look towards my future, so the other one get depressed.
Mhm.
This is the most common issue which I personally see in India.
Mm.
So how can someone overcome that depressed feeling?
Mm. So there is a theory of grief. So what I would advise everyone
Yes, ma'am.
in those particular kinds of cases is, broken relationships are very common in the Western world also. So the way that we advise as therapist, licensed therapist, during the grief therapy, that's what we advise them to go, like go over those grief steps, right? There are certain steps in the grief. All those 5 steps comes back and goes back. So one has to actually um, realize and admit and accept the fact that they are supposed to be moving on. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be accepting that it is going right versus not right, and moving on based off of that. You have to move forward, not necessarily stick on to or get stuck to where they left. Depression and all of these things happen, again I'm going back to the secure attachment. So if your attachment is not secure, then it's the end of the world for you. You cannot see anything else other than this.
Yes, ma'am.
So that should not be the case. Like, it is difficult. Take your time, process your emotions, take your time. If help is professional help is needed, get the professional help and then just move on.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, carry towards the next question.
Mhm.
Uh, in Indian family,
Mhm.
we see that students after even after 18 they stay with their parents.
Mhm.
But in US, we see that after 18 the child take his or her own responsibility.
Mhm.
They do part-time jobs. They pay their own fees by themselves. They separate themselves from their family. Most of the majority. So there are some students over India, over America, they get depressed. If in US, if a student is getting away from the parents, sometimes things goes very good, sometimes things not go very good. So if they are getting depressed, they are separated from their family, they thought that I have to take my financial conditions by my own, I have to stay over there, I have to do this for my living, I have to do this for my, you know, there are separate things. And apart from this, I have to look after my job also, my partner also. So if they are getting depressed, so what are the factors and what we can suggest as a therapist or as a professional to help them and to secure them?
Okay. Support system is the main thing.
Main thing.
The support system is the main thing. So you're
Does
talking about.
sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Mhm.
Does it only comes from parents?
No, that's where I'm going.
Yes,
So support system is of different types. Like, you can get the support system from your friends, from your professors, from your parents, of course,
yes, ma'am.
from your extended family. And nowadays everything is very much connected through this digital world. So feelings of depression and loneliness is right here.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you can just work on here,
Yes, ma'am.
all of them can be coped very easily, and we can manage with them successfully. For example, you used to meet your parent every day, right? So now you are meeting, FaceTiming them the same time, through the FaceTime, like through the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
So in that way, you're not distant from your parent. I'm just giving you an example of parent. Likewise, your relationship, your spouse, your fiance, so on and so forth. You can maintain it. You can. It's called the distance relationship. So everything is becoming digital. So homesickness can be tackled very efficiently nowadays.
If in a family a fight happens or
Mhm.
something, not even in a family, even
Mhm.
a friend fights with each other,
Mhm.
there are some, persons, those think that I will not talk to him at any cost, or
Mhm.
I will take my revenge back. Does it make up a house in their mind, so that if it reaches at that point that he can take a wrong step with that person?
N- Again, it depends on the mindset of the person, right? Like,
Yes, ma'am.
so the conflicts happen everywhere. Like, if you look at your fingers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are all these fingers same? No, all these fingers are different.
Yes, ma'am.
But you get the strength only if all these fingers are like this. Only fist will make you the strength, right? So you have to understand those differences. And instead of just fighting with each other, just try to work it out And all of this can happen only with the communication. So you talk through like adults instead of just holding on to it and then getting stuck there. You have to clearly communicate with the other person, like why is it not working out between you and me, and what are the ways of resolving that conflict, rather than just keeping up and then stacking with those conflicts. What happens if you just stuck those conflicts within your mind? They stay, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like I don't know if you're familiar with the chakra
Yes,
meditation
ma'am.
and all.
Yes.
So chakra is nothing but a free flowing energy system in your body. So every chakra gets blocked with these impurities, right? So conflicts are like that. So if a conflict is getting clogged, the mind, the psychology or the mind of a human being, then you cannot move forward. So you have to clear that clog. So that clearance happens only through communication and negotiations, talks, leaving everything, leaving your ego behind, coming back to the table and putting the issues on the table and then talking through it, not holding on to that. Holding on to that is only going to be impacting you, not the other person.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Ma'am, everybody knows that doing this thing is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In their second, their soul from inside it says that it is wrong. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody knows that if I am doing something wrong towards to anyone, it's a wrong thing. Don't do this. Everybody knows that living a good life is a very very good for them. Living, eating a healthy food, doing exercise, working properly, sleeping properly, don't don't get panic each in any kind of situation. Everybody knows each and everything
Mm-hmm.
in their heart. But why people are not following them? Why people are even getting stuck at every point? Even my friend used to such, for an example, it's not a reality. For
Mm-hmm.
an example, my friend is suggesting me that, oh, don't get panic, sometimes this happen, don't, everybody goes and everybody comes, you will see any other girl or any other this and that. But if the same thing happens with him, he will get depressed. Same. What is the scenario behind this, man?
It is okay. You have so many plans in this on this campus, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is every plan going to take the wind the same way?
No, ma'am.
It's the same way. It's your core personality, and it's your core resiliency factors that defines how well you can manage those stressful situations. So if your core personality is of moldable or adaptable, then you can successfully deal with all of these things. If your core personality is like, okay, no, I am fixated on this, it should happen like this only, I cannot take it, my life is gone because this is the way that I planned and it is not working out, this happened, so this is not my good karma, my girl left me, so I don't know if anybody else will fall in love with me, I'm not capable of being lovable. These are the kinds of thoughts that goes into a person's mind. So if your mind is preoccupied with those kind of things, then you cannot move beyond that.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's the perception that needs to be changed, whereas the same thing might happen to another friend,
Yes, ma'am.
and then that guy probably is like, okay, in my life this chapter ends here, so my train station has arrived, but it doesn't mean that my life journey stopped. So I'll catch a different train and I'll move on. So it is the mindset, it is the personality, it is based off of several different factors. Just like when you plant a seed, not every seed is going to grow into a tree.
Yeah, of course, ma'am.
It's the same thing.
Ma'am, in you can as see that in media there are so many news that are happening around India
Mm-hmm.
or in any other country also.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many cases that, like, one case is a husband find out that his wife was physically engaged with her ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
but she didn't told that thing to her husband. After marriage, her husband get to know about this thing, and he committed suicide. And he write down the suicide note also, and each and everything, that because of this I'm committing this suicide. Is this a valid reason? Is is there any way that he can come out? Because doors never closes. Each, if you are facing any kind of problem, you will also have any your answer for that problem. But why taking such steps? Why not consulting? Why not going to a psychologist? Why don't you share that kind of things from your friends or your family members? Why taking such kind of steps?
Mhm.
So that's my question, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you asked this question, and this is the kind of question that every Indian have to ask themselves, as well as this kind of awareness needs to be brought in all Indian uh, situations or circumstances, because I really feel bad for that guy who committed that, because he doesn't have any resources to share. He doesn't have any resources to, it's not his fault, but the society is the society is the culprit there. If I may say, because of the societal expectations, the guy might have felt that, okay, I could not handle this, and where should I keep? He felt ashamed because of what his wife was doing. The wife could not have done that if she has those kind of ethical values or moral values. But we could have saved the life of that guy had those resources available to him. Um, the awareness is the key aspect here. Seeking help and asking for help is the key. I don't think in Indian context at this point um, that awareness came.
Yes,
People
ma'am.
are talking about it.
Yes, ma'am.
How many of us know about the counseling here? And in this university itself, we don't
Rarest.
have any counseling center per se.
Yes, ma'am.
We are advocating for it now.
Yes, ma'am.
After my second visit, we are advocating for it. But there is a lot of issues, right? Like counseling center, not having a counseling center doesn't mean that there are no issues. Issues are there. So people don't have a place to reach out to. The concept of therapy doesn't exist in the Indian context at this point sufficiently. So that's where our future needs to go. So a helpline for that kind of person, right? By maintaining even the confidentiality, could have helped him.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
that kind of awareness needs to be there.
From this scenario, one question came into my mind.
Mhm,
If someone sees that kind of stories,
mhm,
they think that I will not, I will not engage with anyone.
mhm.
I will make my life single. I will do I will take my finance by my own. I will do each and everything by my own. I don't need a partner. I don't need this and that. In their mind, they have that maybe I can get the same girl. Maybe I can also get a girl who is having some kind of these kind of past, or these kind of questions came in some.
Mhm,
It's very common,
mhm.
not a taboo. It's very common. And what we can do to make them understand that if someone is having migraine, it doesn't mean that other one is also having a migraine. So how can we overcome this kind of thing? Each, I know, having a mindset clear, making a conversation with your partner is a very good thing, but sometimes it happens that our partner, even if we are in a 6 year relationship, maybe in a 10 year relationship, our partner don't tell them, because if I told them or I discuss it with them, maybe my relation get hurt, maybe my relation get broke. So how can we manage that thing, ma'am, as a psychologist or as a counselor? How, if are these kind of cases came to us, how can we manage them?
So one thing that I wanted to make sure for anybody who is in the similar kind of situation comes is, not every situation is same, not every circumstance is same, not every case is same. So every second there are lots of permutations and combinations, right? So whatever we are talking in this second is not exactly the same if we repeat the same session, same question.
Of course, ma'am.
So because we have to base our thing on the positive strengths that anybody have, right? So giving that assurance to the people that your case is not going to be like this. Being single is not a solution. It is stupidity. Instead, I would
Yes, of
call it
course,
as a stupidity
of
if
course.
you don't want to marry just based off of one single case or two single cases. Look at the majority, right? Like the numbers matter.
Yes, ma'am.
Numbers matter. So 98% of the time, our Indian marriage system is the strongest in the world.
Strongest. Yes, ma'am.
Strongest in the world. So why are you not basing your decision on that 98% of the cases? Why are you basing your decision on 1% of failure cases?
Of course.
The failure cases are failures because it is not handled in a proper way,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I go with the positive perspective, positive strength based approach, and then I try to assure the other person that you don't have to think that way. It can be better for you. Your case is not going to be another X
Yeah.
case.
Yes, sir.
Your case is going to be a trendsetter for the new people, for the new generation,
Yes, ma'am.
that you still can survive in those kind of circumstances also, and prove to the world that you still can live happily afterwards.
Yes, ma'am.
So instead of getting that suicide, your thing is, if I am that person, I would just do something with the girl, and then get the divorce or everything finalized, and then move on and find a right girl for yourself, and then start your life again.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as I am continuously using the word depressed,
Mm-hmm.
you can also judge it. So, ma'am, what's the difference between depressed and tensed? Most of the people think that both are the same thing, depressed and tense. So, what are the difference between them to just justify
Mm-hmm.
this?
Yeah, sure. I'm glad again you asked a very good question. Often people think that they're either depressed or they're lonely. Tensed is when you are about to start an exam. How do you feel?
Uh, Tensed.
Means
My
what?
body shivers.
Body shivers,
Got panic.
got panic,
Yes, ma'am.
and your heart races.
Sometimes inner body becomes cold.
Inner body becomes cold.
Yes, ma'am.
All of these are symptoms of anxiety. What are symptoms of depression?
Got lonely.
Lonely, and you just go into your couch.
Couch.
You
Majority of times you spend on your bed sleeping.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're hopeless,
Hopeless.
you're helpless,
Helpless, of course.
you
You have no one around you.
you have no one around you, you're withdrawn, you're socially isolated, you don't want to come to any parties, you don't want to come to any social gatherings,
You don't look after to your future also.
you don't look after to your future also. You either, your companion in those kind of instances is your phone, your computer, or your own four walls, where you just confine yourself. It's like a self induced jail.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a depressed person.
Yes, ma'am.
Anxious person will either go with the three things, right? Like, I think you're familiar with it: for fight, flight, freeze. So anxious body or anxious person, because of these symptoms inside your physiology,
Yes, ma'am.
you either fight against it.
Yes, ma'am.
So you take deep breaths and then you calm yourself down,
Yes, ma'am.
or you fright, become more fearful and then more shivering. You sweat a lot to the level of panic attack,
Yes, ma'am.
or you freeze. You don't know what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're like staring at me. Okay, so those are the, I think I made it very clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Anxious person has a fight, flight, freeze response, whereas depressed person is beyond all of this. He doesn't want to interact with anyone. He's confined to his four walls, and he declines the social gatherings again and again and again, again and again and again.
Yes, ma'am.
Even if his dear ones force, sometimes his dear ones come to rescue him and then take, okay, you have to come to this party because of me. I won't go without you. But they decline. They have their own excuses.
Yes, ma'am.
They say that, oh, I have seen all of this.
A lot.
I'm done with this.
I'm not interested.
I'm not interested. I have seen this 10 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
I have been through all of this. All of those are lame excuses that person doesn't know. So that is another reiteration of person being depressed. So what happens, how your body takes it? They continuously cry. They cry without even knowing that they're crying.
Yes, ma'am.
Because their mind knows and their body has to exhibit that, right? That heftiness, their mind knows and the body has to exhibit it. So it comes through tears. After some time, even the tears vanish.
Yes,
That's when the person loses the hope for living.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are different types of depressions, acute, episodic, and all of those things. I'm not going to in details about
Yes,
it, but I hope I clarified the question.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a lot of difference between being anxious and being depressed.
As ma'am, I also know that you are expert in microaggression.
Mm-hmm.
So, ma'am, can you please explain what is microaggression?
Oh, that itself takes 1.5 hours of interview.
Just a few lines, ma'am.
Okay. Microaggressions are subtle or very bold, derogatory or demeaning comments, verbal or non-verbal,
To someone.
For example, rolling the eyes, right? Like if I'm talking to you and then if you don't agree,
Yes, ma'am.
then sometimes you don't communicate that. What you say is,
Yes, ma'am.
that is a microaggression.
Okay.
There are different types of microaggression again. Usually microaggressions are shown for different cultures. In the Western world, it's a melting pot, right? So different communities come together. Even here, right? Even in India,
Yes, ma'am.
we have a north feeling, south feeling, different
Yes, ma'am.
caste system.
Yes, ma'am.
So upper caste people will behave differently with the lower caste people.
Yes, ma'am.
So they throw a lot of microaggressions. So all of those are microaggressions.
Okay, ma'am.
If that makes sense.
मैम, क्या कभी ऐसा होता है मैम कि कभी फैमिली में कोई पेरेंट किसी बच्चे के साथ ज़्यादा प्यार करता है, किसी के साथ नहीं करता, किसी की डांट ज़्यादा लगाता है, किसी की कम लगाता है, तो क्या ऐसा होता है कि जिसकी ज़्यादा डांट लग रही है, जिसको प्यार नहीं मिल रहा, वो अपने दिल में अपने माता पिता के लिए हेट पैदा कर ले? ऐसा होता है क्या? And how can we overcome them?
So you're talking about the sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Sibling rivalry. I don't know if you are familiar with Alfred Adler.
No,
ma'am. He's a psychologist who actually worked on the birth order and then how the sibling rivalry is attached to birth order. So if you're an elderly born, right, like if you're a firstborn in the family, you have certain characteristics by birth or by the environment. There are certain expectations from your parents. Second born or the middle born have certain personality traits or expectations. Third born also has those kind of things. So the youngest in the family is the baby. Yes, so always gets more attention. Yes, because of that, the first sibling or the second sibling may be feeling jealous. So yes, all of these are the natural phenomenon in every single family. Yes, so if any of the siblings develop a jealousy or rivalry, that's where the parenting training comes into play. Yes, ma'am. Explaining that, taking it as a normal thing, and then giving the support to the middle one, giving the support to the elderly one. Yes, hey, you are the firstborn, so just be patient with your younger sibling. Yes, ma'am. He's the last one, so he's behaving like the pampering mood. Yes. So you have to understand that. And then giving equal attention to the other two siblings also is very important. The minute that you notice that one sibling, one of the kid is feeling that way, giving the attention to the others is also very, very important.
Okay, ma'am. As coming to the last question, ma'am,
Mhm.
as I have an interest in psychology also,
Mhm.
being even being the student of JMC department, I have an interest in psychology also, and there is a question that comes to my mind: how can we detect, or how can we verify that a person is mentally ill, even though there are so many people that behave properly, they laugh, they enjoy with each another, but they are mentally sick? Sometimes they became psychopath.
Mhm.
They're very common.
Mhm.
And how can we detect them, how can we understand them, how can we make ourselves comfortable if we get to know that they are mentally sick or this kind of?
So the minute that you know that anybody is out of the normal,
Yes, ma'am.
you try to help them. People give some cues, crying for that help. If a person is feeling lonely, you will you we discussed about the symptoms of it, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you watch out for them and then try to give them the appropriate resources and direct them in the right path. Nobody is going to be a psychopath by nature, by birth.
Yes, ma'am.
All of us are very pure and innocent by birth. It's the environment that changes us, or go into a different direction. So if we can change the environment, then there is some effect on the psychology of the person. So there has been a lot of studies conducted in the in the Western world. We call that as incarcerated world, right? Like the people who commit or convict all of these crimes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So even by interviewing them and all of that stuff, it is the environment that actually caused them to be in that particular situation, not the person. Like what happens if you're again and again and again and again beaten by the society, beaten by the circumstances? The only option that they have is to go in that route. It's the survival of the fittest, right? So they go in that route and then do that. So anything, you can actually kill the person with kindness. That's where all of us needs to go to. Like it's the genuineness, genuine caring and genuine love.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you show a little bit of love to those kind of individuals
Yes, ma'am.
and then be able to listen to them, I think we can do miracles.
What about those people who enjoys killing people? Can we call them totally sick?
Yeah, of course. There are those there are psychiatric terms for that. Like if you are having a psychotic episode, they hallucinate, they have delusions. So they have clear cut voices telling them that, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this. So that's where your medication comes into play. So you have to stabilize those individuals to not hallucinate, not delude. So all of that happens with the pills, right? So you have to have the proper medication for those to treat with this schizophrenia, borderline personality disorders, any kind of narcissistic behavior. All of these things needs to be stabilized first. All these personality disorders needs to be stabilized first, and then only the therapy is going to work. If I'm talking to you, you can understand because your level matches my level. You can understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
If a psychopath is sitting near me and then he's interviewing me,
Yes, ma'am.
nothing would go into his brain.
Yes, ma'am.
He would think, okay, where is the gun? Where is the thing?
Yes, ma'am.
So that I can target my next target.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm not going to talk to that person, or you cannot talk to that person.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
for them, the most needed is first get certain help to stabilize their psyche first,
Yes, ma'am.
and then do the therapy.
Okay, and thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session for with us, and we are very thankful to you for your time, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. It's my pleasure. Thank you for Invertis University
We
for
are
arranging this for us.
we are very welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.